Hello, welcome to Chaos and Controls, the show where we talk about modern devices, technologies, and techniques for automating your home, business, or life. I'm your host, the Automation Doctor, and today I thought we could go ahead and take a little bit more of a deep dive into subnetting. Now, I've mentioned before in a previous video that in subnetting, if you really want to understand what's going on under the hood, so to speak, you have to understand binary. You really do. And at this stage in the game, you either understand binary or you don't. There's a pun in there somewhere. And so let's go ahead and, under the assumption that you have, and if not, we've got some videos you can go back and review some of that material. But let's dive in and have a look at a common address that you might have on, say, a home network. This 192.168.1.105. Now, in all likelihood, if you're on a home network, you have a subnet that looks something to the effect of this 255.255.255.0, which you will recall, this is an octet full of 8 ones, 8 ones, 8 ones, 8 zeros. So I could characterize this whole network by also saying that this is a /24 network. So we'll work the example here. Some of the common information that you may need to find for a subnet include the network ID, the broadcast ID, and we might also want to know where the first and last devices on a given network can go. So in your typical example right here, what I have to do is write out all of the binary. And I know that I'm going to keep this 192.168.1 because they're all ones, so I can go ahead and keep 192.168.1. And then I'm going to go ahead and write out the full binary expression for this 105. And so 105 in binary happens to be 0, 1, 1, 0, 1, 0, 0, 1. This is 105 in binary. And because the subnet has a bunch of ones, all of these are ones here, to under here the subnet looks like 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0. The way that I find my network ID is I set all of these to 0. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, which of course in decimal we say is equal to 0. And if I want to find my broadcast ID, we set everything to 1, which would be 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, which hopefully you recognize as 255. And this is pretty standard for a home network. My network ID is at .0. My broadcast ID is at 255. What do you need either of those for? Depends on the situation. The network ID can often be useful in routing tables and other things like that. The broadcast ID hits, potentially if I need to send information to everything on a particular network or subnetwork, I can hit the broadcast ID and send to all. This isn't a particularly interesting example, though, because it's a standard /24. So what if instead I took this and I said I want to go instead to a /28 network? Well, on a /28 network, instead of my subnet being 255.255.255.0, the binary, when I write it out, is going to be .1234.0000. Remember, up to this point, 255 is 8 ones, 8 ones, 8 ones. We added 4 more ones. So we went from 24 to 28, 1, 1, 1, 1. 0, 0, 0, 0, and now I have to divide my network from my devices right here. So this .105, if I want to know, well, what network is he on, if I come down here and do the same thing, remember 105 we said was 0, 1, 1, 0, 1, 0, 0, 1. If I want to know the network ID, the subnet is a 1111 with a 0000, so I have to draw my line right about there. Everything this way is the network. The network remains fixed. Everything this way is the device IDs, and the device IDs can be changed individually. And so now when I set everything to a 0, I end up with 0, 1, 1, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, which comes to 96. And when I set everything to a 1, I end up with a 0, 1, 1, 0. Again, the first 4 are part of the network because we're on a /28 now, and the last 4 are what I change to a 1, 1, 1, 1. And I happen to know that this is going to end up being 96 plus 4 ones is equal to 15, so if my math isn't right, that's going to be 111, and if not, I'll put a little fun box up right here that says that I was completely wrong on my calculation there. So, if I want to know on this network, my network ID is 192.168.1.96, and my broadcast ID is 192.168.1.111. It's worth noting that because when we go to a network ID, the last digit, the ones place, is always set to a 0, so a network ID always has to be even. And because I set the ones place to a 1 when I'm going to my broadcast ID, the broadcast ID always has to be an odd number. Now, after that, you might want to know, well, we said, well, where can our first and last devices be? Well, so if this is the net ID, and this is the broadcast, I cannot put a C, I really am an engineer. Network ID, broadcast, well, my first device can go one above the network ID, so that can go to 192.168.1.97. Typically, your first position here, if you've got stuff that you want to be able to escape this particular network or subnetwork, this is normally where you will put your gateway. You don't have to, but that's typically where you go. My last device, then, it stands to reason, will be one before this 111, so at 192.168.1.110. This will be my first device, this will be my last device. Network ID, broadcast. Hopefully this help clears up a handful of mysteries with subnetting. Again, if you don't have a full understanding of binary and how it works, I strongly encourage you to go back and look at those videos. If there's continued confusion, I'm more than happy to talk about this more later. That's about all I have for you at this moment. You all have a good one. I will catch you next time.